Welcome everybody to Road America. It's round number 1 of 10 of the 2020 campaign of MotoAmerica. Welcome. You're watching live on MotoAmerica Live Plus. And welcome race fans from around the world to Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. We're at Road America, one of the iconic venues here in the United States. And it's a great day for racing. You can see blue skies, partly cloudy, a breeze. We see flags blowing in the background, but when you talk about this track, 4.04 miles in length, and it is iconic. It has its special turns, its special straightaways. Everything about this facility is special, and we feel special because we're bringing you two-wheel racing. We're the first group around the world at this level bringing you two-wheel racing. We're glad to be here. Hi, everybody. Welcome inside our booth here at Road America. I'm Robbie Floyd. That's the champ right there, Roger Hayden, on his birthday, a whole 37 years old. Man, you're getting old. And Jamie Howe's down trackside. Roger, this is the day we've been waiting for, and finally the first race of 2020.
Yeah, finally. I can't tell you how excited I am to finally get the MotoAmerica season, the first motorcycle race to get going since the pandemic. So I'm ready to see the action. We get to practice in the qualifying, and now it's time to show up and do their job.
For those of you following online at MotoAmerica Live Plus, you can also follow online. Like you see, I've got my grid set up here on MotoAmerica.com as well for all your empirical information, and follow timing and scoring. And when we talk about the stock 1000s here at Speedville, we'll be seeing PJ Jacobsen, the rider to beat. He's been that way. He's thrown down the gauntlet. He's been fast, the fastest combined in qualifying by over half a second. But it shows Cam Peterson in second. It's a little different. We had questions on where he fit in looking at our combined totals, but it shows him second on that front row, followed by Corey Alexander. We did expect to see him up there.
Yeah, we did. And every time we talk to PJ, every time they interview him, he always talks about Cameron Peterson. So right. I know he's definitely thinks he's his biggest competitor, but I think a lot of the guys are just going to want to stay in the draft. They don't want to let PJ get away. The Ducati's really fast in the straight line, so a start's going to be important in the first couple of laps for all the other guys not to let PJ get away.
And you see Alex Dumas, the champion in the Twins Cup, but this ain't Twins Cup anymore. You got some horsepower underneath you. Stock 1000's about to take off, and again, they'll still have their sighting lap before they get ready to take off for real in the green flag racing. Let's go ahead and send it down to the third member of our team, Jamie Howe. Welcome to MotoAmerica. It's finally time to race.
Yes, thank you. And as the bikes fire up behind me, this is my very first time experiencing race day on a MotoAmerica weekend, so I'm really looking forward to the Stock 1000 race. But there remain a couple of questions that have gone unanswered. One of them is going to be what the weather conditions do to the bikes, and particularly to the tires. Now, the track temperature has continued to change all day long. When this class went out this morning, just after 9 o'clock, the track temp sat at about 84 degrees Fahrenheit. It's now gone up just a little bit, but we've seen the warmest conditions that we've seen all weekend come just today. Now the sun is back out, so that could change again any moment. But another question mark remains over: how are these guys going to race together? What are they going to do now that we're actually going racing? PJ Jacobsen, our pole sitter, didn't do that last session. He decided to stay out with the superbike class and get the track time there. So just having everybody out together and having to draft and having to work together and make it to the checkered flag, it's going to be anybody's game.
It's going to be a learning process, and I'm going to tell you right now, Jamie Howe's a quick learner. I mean, she covers NHRA, she covers NASCAR, and now she's covering MotoAmerica, and she's got things down. She's even converted the temps that they give in Celsius to Fahrenheit already. I mean, she is on the ball, Roger.
Yeah, she's definitely learning the language and learning it pretty quick. So learning on the job, and she's getting it pretty quick.
Oh, JT, you're not doing too bad yourself there in the color seat. How does it feel watching racing once again? You got to sit in a few times last year, but you're going to watch these guys race, and I know it has to feel awkward.
It does feel awkward, and it's definitely a lot different than I thought it would be. It's a lot harder than I thought it would be to commentate on other riders and watch and just talk about it. But I love being at the races, and if announcing's the way to be here and stay involved, then that's what I want to do.
We talk about that front row and PJ Jacobsen, Cam Peterson, Corey Alexander. You and I both talked about throughout the week that you don't necessarily have to have that front row start because drafting's so important here. You look back at that second row with Michael Gilbert, Stefano Mesa, Travis Wyman. There's three fast guys, Dumas in there as well, just behind. But first or second row, there's a handful, maybe even two handfuls of guys that could win this race.
Oh, for sure, especially at this track. Qualifying, I mean, it is important, but it's not as important as other tracks because there's such a long run to the first corner. You can draft and you can move up a couple spots. So first or second row is it's a really good spot here at Road America, but also you could be on one of the front rows here and get pushed back a couple spots before the turn one because it's such a long run to the first corner.
And we're going to try and educate as many people as possible from all forms of motorsports, or maybe you're not even a motorsports fan, but welcome to MotoAmerica Live Plus. We'll be on Fox Sports today, Eurosport as well as MAV TV throughout. Find your local listings, find out where we're going to be. But it's MotoAmerica Live Plus right now. Stock 1000, the first race of 2020. When you look at poles, different tracks do it different ways, but the outside, so it's a right-hand turn, first turn for P.J. Jacobsen. So pole is actually closer to that first turn, but he's on the outside. If a rider like Cam Peterson or Corey Alexander gets a good start, he could do a little stuffing going into that right-hander.
Yeah, they could. They're in a position to go up the inside, but he's definitely going to be on the preferred line, you know, for whenever they're braking and entering turn one. Here we go. Looks like PJ did not get the.
Did I call the shot before the shot? I almost called the shot. Let's find out who gets the start. It's going to be PJ, or will it be Cam? Cam's on that inside. PJ's got to give it up. You don't want to do it the first lap or the first race of the year.
And I think a lot of these guys know they don't want to let PJ get away, so they're going to try to keep him behind them as long as they can.
I was actually surprised PJ went so inside into that second and third turn, weren't you?
Yeah, he was. Looks like he just kind of, he didn't get the greatest start, so he kind of got shuffled around a little bit, but he still came out of it second. But you're going to see the speed of the Ducati on a lot of these straights, I think. That's going to be its strong suit.
And one thing we need to point out is this Ducati 1000 is extremely fast. He's been pulling the fastest times, and as you know, Jamie said a moment ago, he didn't go out in that session with this group of riders, but he did go out there with the Superbikes, and he was turning some quick time.
Yeah, he's been fast all weekend. He's had a couple issues yesterday with the back shifting going into some of the corners, but it looks like maybe today they got it working a little better, so hopefully he doesn't have any of his shifting issues during the race.
Listen to the sights, or listen to the sound, see the sights here as they head into that iconic right-hand bending turn. That is the carousel, and there's no doubt one of the most iconic turns in motorsports here in the U.S. Just when you think you're finished turning right, you still have more to go.
You still do. You're always turning all the way until you're about to flick it in to the first left, headed into the chicane, and you can already see the first four guys are starting to kind of break away and leave the pack of Alex Dumas, and I think even Michael Gilbert might be behind Alex Dumas, and he's going to want to get around him and not let that top four get away, because he's not going to catch them if they get away from him.
Gilbert always up there in that top three throughout the season, a winner last year at the second stop at Virginia, but when you talk about no contest and a fifth place in our two races at Road America last year, but still count on Gilbert and all green Kawasaki. You see him back there in sixth, trying to move up into fifth, but yeah, if he doesn't get Dumas, this foursome could just separate. And if they work together, I mean, it is a beautiful thing. Even Stefano Mesa, even though if that's him in fourth place, if he holds to that spot, he's all right as long as he's in that group.
Yeah, hopefully the draft can bring them back together a little bit, but I think Alex and Michael's a little too far back to stay in these guys' drafts. And, you know, if these four don't battle too much and stay just like this, they're definitely going to pull away from the rest of the guys. And that's what I would do if I was racing. That way you only have to race against four guys, not have to battle with six.
You've seen P.J. Jacobsen. Sometimes he can get in his own head and get frustrated with things and riders around him. Looks like he's actually being pretty patient back there in second, doesn't it?
Yeah, he does. He looks calm. He looks confident. He's looked confident all weekend. He's led every session, so he knows that he has the speed.
Taking a look more to that inside. We've also seen him look comfortable. Never really seen him out of control at all. This is an 8-lap race. We're on our second of 8 laps. The ups and downs, the blind turns like that one right there. One rider off the track will try and get you that number. We haven't seen many wrecks this weekend as far as practice and qualifying is concerned. Jeff Pert looks like the rider that's off the track. So unfortunately for the Iowa and the Legacy Dental entry is going to be out of this race.
Yeah, Cam Peterson yesterday in the first practice right here in the long carousel, he had a big crash and actually pretty much totaled his bike, so his crews had to do a a lot of work yesterday to rebuild that bike, and clearly they did a great job because they got him back out and back out front.
Peterson, Jacobsen, Corey Alexander, the times they were turning in qualifying minus, well, PJ's best time was yesterday. He didn't even run today, a 2:16.70. The first lap for Cam Peterson was a 2:20, so there's a lot more speed to be found here. But then again, do you try and push that hard? Is there a reason to push that hard if you know you can't break away?
Well, as you'll see, the caution, this is where Jeffrey went down, so the guys will be a little slow through here. But no, I think from the get-go, you want to go as fast as you can because you want to try to pull away. You can see where Cam Peterson's trying to break up the pack, and that would be the goal, to separate. You can tell Stefano Mesa's already fallen back a little bit, so I think they want to put their heads down and try to go. And it looks like Cam Peterson's trying to break away, and he's got a little bit of a gap.
Listen to those sounds. Listen to Cam Peterson. He makes his way in front of us from Johannesburg, South Africa. Altus Motorsports, number 45, a new team for him. You see the leaves getting blown away. Yep, that's because they're ripping by at 175 miles an hour for PJ Jacobsen. He was 5 miles an hour faster. The quickest lap that time, or down that straightaway, is Travis Wyman on the BMW, a 178 trap speed.
Yeah, that's fast, and that's one of the strong suits of the BMW, is that it's really fast in a straight line.
Let's go down to Jamie Howe, who's got more on our leader.
You mentioned all of that work that the team had to do to get Cam Peterson back out on the track following the incident yesterday. I just checked in with the team, and good news for him is he was really happy with the bike this morning and what they had. They made a small conservative change just to help him get into the corner a little bit better, give him a little bit more flexibility. But so far, he is really happy with that bike.
Also, you can see Stefano Mesa's closed the gap back up to this group, right on the tail end of Corey Alexander. So he's getting going now. He's the fastest guy on the track in the first couple splits. So whatever problem Stefano had the lap before, it looks like he's got it figured out.
I think the deal with Stefano Mesa, I think you'll see him maybe try and get by Corey Alexander. Typically I think from last year, and especially at this track where he did win in the Stock 1000, if he feels like he can get Alexander, then he can maybe tuck behind PJ. PJ starts wrestling around with Cam, then maybe he can make that jump on both of them at the same time. But really, before you can get up to that first or second, you have to get by Alexander. Whether you can or not is another story.
Yeah, it looks like the first part of the track, Stefano Mesa is really strong. He catches right up to the guys, and especially right up to Corey, and then he slips away a little bit in the middle part of the track. But he's really strong on the brakes. He keeps catching him on the brakes, but I don't know if he's out breaking himself a little too deep and killing his drive on the exit. But he's definitely closed the gap considering where he was last lap.
Looking at Corey Alexander, you're impressed with him too, because I mean he's kept about that same distance on PJ. Looks like he's minding his own business. A nice solid race back there in third. If he's got more left in the tank, I don't think we're certainly seeing it right now.
No, and Corey's definitely a strong rider. He rode here last year. He didn't do the whole series last year, but he raced here last year and got on the podium. As just a one-race deal. He did a couple more races at the end of the year, but he's right. He's all over PJ. If PJ makes any mistake, Corey's coming by, and it almost looks like now that Corey's trying to get by. I think he wants to go with Cam Peterson, and as the laps wind down, you'll see these guys get a little less patient whenever time gets more critical.
Talk about Corey Alexander and look at his results. A part-timer, but when he did race at Road America last year, a 6th and a 3rd on that second day. So there's the podium you were referring to. Cam Peterson was racing the Ahano Superbike class last year, so now he's a new entrant in this Stock 1000. But everything about this race is him with a fresh start for him, as we do have a clean start. It's I guess been ruled official. We're halfway through this race. But yeah, Cam's new program, new team, a fresh start for him, and he's trying to win his first race in a long time.
Yeah, he is. He won a race a couple years ago in the rain at New Jersey, but Cam Peterson's always been a really good rider, and he hasn't always had the best. He's been on good equipment, but it hasn't always been the best, and this year I think he's on a really good team, a really good bike. The Suzuki is great in stock form, and he works with Josh Hayes, which is you couldn't have a better guy to work with for training and just helping you out on the race weekend. But the top 4 guys are so even. They all did a 17.0 last lap, so it looks like there's nothing in between them.
I'm still curious about Stefano Mesa. Is he just biding his time back there in fourth? But it's a fairly quick race, though. 8 laps really isn't that much. It's definitely not an endurance. This is a sprint. I like seeing those shorter races and give me full aggression. More compared arena cross to supercross. Sometimes arena cross can get stretched out, and it's like, huh.
Yeah, in 8 laps, you don't have to worry about conserving your tires. I mean, these Dunlops will do 8 laps, no problem whatsoever. And the top 3 guys coming up the front straight now, they've definitely kind of separated themselves from Stefano Mesa. So, to me, I think we're going to have a 3-horse race for the win, unless somebody makes a mistake and let Stefano come by.
Kawasaki, Corey Alexander runs it in there. He trying to put the pressure on P.J. Jacobsen, but you also talk about the manufacturer. He's on the outside drive and almost runs off that turn, but you have a Suzuki out in front, a Ducati in second, and a Kawasaki in third.
And you have to be careful in turn 1. If you get a little bit wide, there's a big bump there, and you'll see guys lose the front end. But, I think Corey sees that the laps are ticking away, and he's ready to make his move. His bike looks good.
And that's the wake-up call for P.J. Jacobsen. There's what the draft will do, and there's how fast. Every time you see Kyle Wyman in the Honda Superbike, every time you see P.J., you point out, man, that Ducati's fast.
I don't know where that was the laps before. It's almost like he was
waiting.
He wasn't full throttle.
Yeah, I think he's just biding his time. Now you try and check out. See, can I pull away? Can I just try and just stomp on him? Keep your foot on it.
I think he is, because he already has a purple first 2 sectors, so he's definitely taking the lead and put his head down. They've kind of separated from Corey a little bit, but it looks like Cam Peterson can go with him. So I think these 2 guys now looks like they got a nice little gap on Corey. So I think PJ, you're right. You said it in the beginning. PJ was just taking his time, and now he's ready to make his move.
And one of the things with that as well is we haven't seen Cam up front running hard the entire. He might have qualified second, but we didn't see them together. We don't know how fast Cam Peterson has. We have seen him throw it away. We saw him throw it away in that first practice, and in a big way.
Yeah, he had a big one in the carousel, but luckily he was okay. But you can just tell by PJ's riding style right now. He's really pushing. He's a little bit more aggressive. It looks like they have the shifting problems that they had yesterday fixed, that he was having problems back shifting going into the corners. And, Cam Peterson is digging deep and trying to go with him.
4 laps to go. You see at the top of your screen, find your favorite rider. There's 20 of them out there, giving it their all. Cam Peterson, P.J. Jacobsen, been battling it out. 1 and 2 just behind them, Corey Alexander. But P.J. has the mark, but here's where that drafting.
Yeah, we'll see what the Suzuki has right here, because he's got a good run on PJ. We'll see if he can get by him.
You see, I saw too many wheelies, though, and I saw that in the Honda Superbike class last year. If I remember right, it looked like it was Tony Elias that stayed hooked up coming down that straight, and every time Cam Peterson would pop wheelies, when you're wheeling, you're losing time.
Yeah, and also the last time around, PJ's trap speed was 177. The next best guy was 6 miles an hour behind him.
So here's where that slipstream really works, Raj.
Yeah, going down into turn 5. He got a good run out of turn 3, was tucked in tight, and just pulled out perfect and went right by him. One of the best places to pass here on this track.
Our normal partner throughout the year, Michael Hill's watching from across the pond. He was pointing out how this is an outright track record for this class. And you see, PJ, we expected him to just try and put the pressure on really fast. Cam gave him the run, but I think trying so hard actually hurt him going up that that front straight, and now it's hard to play catch up.
Yeah, it's hard to play catch up now, but also it just looks like PJ was thinking in this race, just get a good start, be calm the first couple laps, and then make his push here at the end, because he's still putting down best segment times, and he's getting faster each lap, so he might just want to get a nice gap and then try to control it to the end.
What else does that bike have left in it, too? Because PJ's actually not the fastest in the trap speed. That's still Travis Wyman, a 1.777, 177.7 miles an hour. So we know that BMW has speed, the Ducati has speed, but the Ducati's putting it to the ground and handling a little bit better maybe than Wyman's BMW.
Yeah, I mean, not only that, PJ's a great rider, too. He has tons of experience, comes from World Supersport, did World Superbike, and last year he was runner-up in Supersport. So, a good bike and a good rider, that's a tough combination to beat. And, I'm not saying the other guys aren't good riders, but they are as well. But whenever you got like PJ, and, everything's just clicking for him right now.
Yeah, he was in the championship till the very end in that super sport class, which he did race here at MotoAmerica, at Road America last year, but he had a no contest and a force. This was actually the race that probably took him out of that championship. It really lost a lot of ground, but the fourth was good, and remember, that was a back and forth battle, but not scoring any points at the first of 2 days, that kills you. You don't think so that early, but in the end result, it did.
Yeah, every point counts, and you don't really realize that through the season, but even if you look at the way his championship in the Supersport last year came down to the last race. In the Superbike last year, Tony and Cameron, they came down to the last race where 1 or 2 points to the season would have made a big deal come Barber.
Tony threw it away in the last lap, last turn. Remember, Cameron went underneath him. He adds those points, and he's maybe the champion for 2019. But that number 1 is held by Cameron Beaubier in the Super Sport class. Is Bobby Fong, who you'll see in the Hanos Superbike class as well. And there's a man who finished second just behind him, just a few points shy of Bobby Fong last year, but it came down to that last race between Bobby Fong and P.J. Jacobsen. Jacobsen leading this, the best time, a 2:15.26, and that was that last time around. Compare that to Cam Peterson's best time of 2:16.3. He's got him by a full second in 1 lap.
He does, and he looks
even better.
He looks even better this lap, and I mean he's got a comfortable gap now to PJ or to Cameron, and his pit board. He's going to see that. He's going to see that he has plus 1.4, and then when he comes around this time, he'll see that it's grown, and there'll be only 1 lap left. The gap that PJ has on Cameron. Cameron has that gap to Corey, and then Corey has that exact same gap to Stefano. So it seems like everybody's spread out now, and they're kind of staying the same distance.
You're talking about P.J. Jacobsen, the Celtic HSBK Racing entry. The wonderful colors for him in this stock 1000 class. A new livery for him on that Ducati 1000, and he's showing how to get it done in a big way. Keeps turning fastest speed. Look at that, 179. When 7s were the highest we've seen, we're almost at 180 for this stock class. And you know what? Aren't we going to see him again later, Roger?
Oh yeah, he should be. He should be pretty good in the Superbike class. Hopefully, he can get out there and get a good start and go faster and learn a lot from some guys that's a little bit faster. Their bikes are going to be a little better than his. His is in stock form, so that's what's cool about the new Superbike class with some of the other guys, these super stock guys racing with the big boys, and it's going to be a good learning opportunity for him. And he stretched out his lead now to 2.8 seconds, so he can just keep it clean this last lap.
This is going to be old rubber. Do you feel like he's having that feeling and he's still pushing it somewhat? Do you think it's a chance for him to maybe do some of that riding that feel? Where's this bike right now with this many laps in this race? Because I'm going to have that opportunity here in about an hour or so to go out there in the Honda's Superbike class.
They'll definitely have a little bit just that knowledge of the first lap of how the draft is going to be, because the first lap, everybody's bunched up going down into turn 5. It can be a little bit tricky sometimes where to brake. You see a lot of guys sometimes run a little bit wide, but PJ has a lot of experience, and it's going to be good for him to ride in the Superbike class. And he won't get to, not that he's riding easy, but it's going to be a little bit more of a difficult challenge for him. So it's going to be helping. He'll be faster tomorrow because of it.
Do you remember the difference when you went from, say, a stock bike to the Superbike or the full-blown ones, though? The speed right off the start. That's what I always hear. Like Tony Elias, he wants to get gone, or Cameron, but they really push harder from the start than maybe the stock class.
Yeah, I didn't notice a huge difference between the stock bike and the full-on Superbike. But the riders in the competition, and their first lap is
ludicrous speed
practice
right off the start.
is like qualifying lap through the whole race, and that was the biggest adjustment. And early in my career, I raced Josh Hayes a lot, and he was so good at that, being so fast right out of the gate. And
how did you adjust?
I had to, and something I worked on a lot and got better, and something I had to do to close that gap to Josh.
One thing I want to point out also is a rider that we are not seeing this weekend was the 2019 champion, Andrew Lee, who had a strong 2019 campaign. I was hoping to see him back in that Hano Superbike class. So Andrew, hoping he can find the funding, the bikes, and maybe make it later on in the year, because he's really missed. And I think you'd mentioned that he pointed out possibly in this class, or wanted to do it again, or still just keep winning championship. He wanted to move up.
Yeah, it would have been nice to see him here and give PJ a run, but
hey,
what
the
a
checker
ride
flag
by
came
PJ.
out. That was it. I thought we were still on our last lap, but that is it. Checker flag comes out for the first time. PJ Jacobsen takes the victory over Cam Peterson and Corey Alexander, your top three. And if that wasn't a ho-hum race for PJ, I don't know what was, because it sure looked like he was biding his time. And when he wanted to turn it up, he found the up.
Yeah, it looked like he was in total control from the beginning. He never looked flustered or panicked. So, good start for him. Actually, it's a good start for all three of the guys. To start the season with the podium finish is a great start to the year, and a lot of learning and some data they can collect and try to come back stronger tomorrow and try to be closer to PJ.
Cool down lap, or it's still a good thing for Cam Peterson. Hey, he's got to look at this as, you know what? I made it through the first race. I'm in second place. It ain't too bad, and I'll be here. Be here once again. And next week or next month's just right around the corner for these guys.
Yeah, and Cam Peterson's got to be happy. A new team, a new bike to start the year off. Qualified second, run a strong race in the beginning, end up second today. It's a good start. You got to be happy with that, and now he can go back with his crew, and they can make an improvement and try to close the gap tomorrow, and maybe give PJ a run all the way to the end.
Michael Hill, of course, he texted me and said it's the first ever victory for Ducati, the Ducati Panigale V4 on U.S. soil. I think at this level, there may be some out there in the local race, but certainly at this level, Ducati's probably paying attention around the world and watching just how fast that bike is. Probably what they expected, and I think they've got the right rider on it. Now, can he do this in the Honda Superbike as well as Kyle Wyman? It's been interesting, even though Kyle Wyman's been fast. PJ's looked a little more in control, but Kyle's saying, I feel good. I feel in control. But either way, it's a plus for Ducati. And Corey Alexander, how about him? First race out of the season, third place, and he was in it for the longest time.
He was in it for a long time. He's got to be happy with that as well. He's really strong here. Last year he got on the podium also, and I'm happy for Corey. I like him. His uncle's, I worked with his uncle a lot when I rode for the Michael Jordan team, so I always want to see Corey do well, and he got that's a good start to the season for him too, a podium finish, a team that he's worked himself to put together. He does everything, finding sponsors and owns the team and runs it, and, transports the bikes and everything here. So great ride by Corey and a great start to the year.
The ride HVMC Racing Kawasaki of Corey Alexander and a couple of New Yorkers up there on the podium. Poor Cam, they won't be able to understand any of them. 2 New Yorkers and a South African. Talk about an international field. Great job. Got that Lucky Strike look with the ride HVMC.
Oh, yeah, it looks good. His colors look good, really good.
Well, that's it for our first race of the year, and we'll get the results. Again, everything we say is officially unofficial, but it looks like the Ducati, little fist bump. They say they're wearing gloves. They can do that when they're wearing gloves.
And you can notice they don't have a lot of crew in the Parc Ferme like normal, because we do have different.
One guy with the rider instead of a full team. And social distancing is in effect. I know when you saw us on camera, we've been separated. All the crews out there, when it possible, they've been wearing masks. All of our interviews are done at arm's distance with, a boom and a microphone. But you see, they're doing it right here. And MotoAmerica's went through painstaking stuff. Road America's done through stuff as well. But, man, what a race. It all comes down to the racing. We finally get things going. Let's take a look at the highlights of race number 1 here, the only race for Stock 1000s this weekend.
Cam Peterson got a great start right out of the gate, and had the perfect line going into the first turn. You can see PJ slid back a little bit right off the start, but he made it up pretty fast.
Alex Dumont, the young kid on that inside. I didn't realize he was in third for a moment. And that might not be the case. I think that was the warm-up lap that we were saying. But this is racing. We get to see it here. And Stefano Mesa was the 4th rider in that 4-rider train.
Yeah, he fell back, and then he caught back up, and he slid back a little bit at the end. But, right here you can just see PJ looks like he's just stalking Cameron and just waiting for his opportunity. And right here it came. He made this pass, and he never looked back. He used the slipstream perfectly.
That is using that slipstream, and we questioned, would he just go ahead and put his So I want to say foot on the gas, but twist that right throttle, that right side grip a little bit harder, and he did. When he decided to go fast, he went extremely fast, and those little winglets were keeping that front end on the ground. It wasn't the most exciting finish because an exciting race throughout turned into a runaway for P.J. Jacobsen. He won by 4.26 seconds over Cam Peterson and Corey Alexander, rounding out the top three. Let's send it down to our podium and Jamie Howell.
Well, you cannot ask for a better start to the season than with a race win for P.J. Jacobsen. Being able to compete both in Stock 1000 and in the Hono Superbike category, what did that do for you when it came time to race?
Yeah, it was good. This bike is great right off the showroom floor. I'm really happy with the V4R. It just takes a little bit of time to get used to and stuff. There's got some fast riders and stuff in the class, so it's really good, and it was a good race and stuff. And this bike is really good. I'm happy with it. It's awesome, just rolling out of the showroom.
Now, you don't have a whole lot of time before you have to get ready for the first Hono Superbike race of 2020. How will you prepare yourself mentally and physically for that challenge?
Yeah, we'll just try again in the Superbike race, We're trying with the Superbike Cup thing, so we'll just keep chipping away and stuff. I'm sure we'll have another battle with Cam and Corey in the race, so looking forward to the Superbike race, and yeah, it'll be a bit longer and get hotter, so it should be fun.
He started the day off with a smile. He ends up number 1 in victory lane. Congratulations, Hannah.
I've got our second place finisher, Cameron Peterson. First race with Altus Motorsports, first race on this motorcycle. And Cam, you led quite a few laps. How was your battle with PJ for second?
Yeah, it was fun. I kind of knew PJ was just going to sit behind me for a little bit. That Duke's got some legs on it, but it's good to be back up here, and it's been a while since I've been on the podium. So I can't thank the whole Altus Motorsports Haggerty Suzuki team enough. This whole deal came together really late, and they believed in me, and yeah, it feels pretty cool to be back up here. So we'll put our head down, we'll go back to work, and see if we can figure out a few things and get closer to PJ up in the next race.
Congratulations, Cam. Let's go on over to Jamie, who has our third place finisher.
And that's Corey Alexander rounding out the top 3 for race number 1 of the 2020 season. First thing he said when you got to victory lane, Corey, was that Ducati is fast. What were you able to learn in the race?
Yeah, we didn't really get to spend much time around PJ this weekend in qualifying and stuff, so we finally got to see what the Ducati really has, and it's fast, but our Graves Kawasaki is pretty fast as well. So I was excited to be able to stay with them for a little bit. I wish we had a little bit more at the end of the race, but have to give a hats off to my whole team. It's our first weekend kind of working together with a new package, and crew chief Chris, my uncle Richie, DJ, everyone at home watching. It's a family effort to get here. So special thanks to everyone that made it happen, especially Iconic Motorbikes, our title sponsor for this weekend. So thanks, Iconic.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Well, Corey kind of called it on the bike builder there, Graves Kawasaki. We know they make fast equipment, but they're all looking at that Ducati going, man, what am I going to have to do to beat that V4R? Especially
at a track like this with such long straightaways, it's going to be perfect for the Ducati. And, it's not just the bike. PJ's a great rider, too.
Check that out, our broadcast schedule for the day. We go ahead and check off one winner, Jacobsen. We're going to get to see him as well in the Superbike, the Hono Superbike race number 1 at 4:15. But in between that, we're going to see Super Sports, and we're going to see a new champion crowned for 2020. And it's going to be an exciting race coming up next, 3:12 Eastern Time. Liqui Juniors, we're going to have a defending champion back in Rocco Landers. He's also going to be in the Twins Cup race, our final race of the day. So he gets to go back to back, but he's a young buck. He can go ahead and race as many classes as he wants. When you're young like that, you don't get tired, right? You just get more experience, right, Roger?
No, he shouldn't. So the first race should just be a warm-up, and he'll be ready for the next one.
So we're looking at the beautiful green scenery on the outside here at Elkhart Lake. We want to welcome race fans not only outside, but we want to welcome you inside because there's no race fans outside. We want to welcome you into our house here at, we call it Studio 1A. Does that sound good to you, Roger?
Sounds
Studio
perfect.
1A?
Sounds
Well,
good.
we're keeping our social distancing here as well, but welcome inside because they are not allowing fans to come to this first race. They will at the second stop a month from now here at Road America, but everybody's doing their part on the social distancing side, from the racers, the crew, the television crew, the Road America crew, and everybody's doing a great job. And it just shows you we can race and we can race fast and have our social distancing as well, Raj.
Yeah, definitely. MotoAmerica's did a great job to make this happen, and everybody. It's a group effort. The riders, the teams, the crew, everybody that works in the paddock, and I think it's worth it to have a race. So everybody's doing it, and everybody's having fun. And I think everybody just is glad to be back at the races.
It's a conscious effort. I mean, you have to be paying attention, and that's Rocco. I can't. You know what? I normally know what he looks like, but with a mask on, I'm thinking like, oh man, he's about to hit the 7-Eleven. What's going on here? But we'll see Roger. We'll see him, Rocco, twice today. That's going to be a little bit different. We just got through seeing Alex Dumas as well in the Stock 1000, an impressive finish by him. 7th place. He had some difficulties in practice and in qualifying, losing his fairing, but that's his first full race on the big bike. It's a different world than, say, racing the twins.